try to stay clear in a fog. It's been a very tumultuous time. It's been a very confusing time for many. And I think when you're in a position of leadership, you don't have the luxury, if you will, to dwell in confusion or ambiguity. You have to also seek clarity, and you have to try to unify people. But for myself, I learned that I don't have to always be the Charles Atlas holding the world on my head. I really was more of a coach and bringing my faculty and my team and classified professionals and other administrators and my board to really try to strategize and work together toward a common goal. And that was to kind of stay unified.
I think I've tried to be more reflective about pacing, about relationships, about connecting more with people. We all run in a very fast-paced environment. We work off of checklists to get things done. We pull together to make things happen when necessary and important. But sometimes we just don't stop to connect personally with people, to check in with how they're doing, to reconfirm those critical relationships and values with one another. And so I thought a lot about that.
Well, the first thing I learned at the beginning was that I was not very well versed in talking about race and having conversations across race issues. A lot of those, I definitely have learned a lot and gained a lot through this process. Especially, I really appreciated APAHE last year, where we had leaders from A2MEND organization, we had leaders from Collega's organization, and we had leaders in APAHE. And when they were having that conversation in Zoom about how do we address our individual challenges, but also support one another, how do we have these conversations? How do we maybe not try to compare our pain, but to recognize that all of our pain are real and it's justified? Leaders that were in that Zoom really modeled for me how to have conversation with my African American and Latinx colleagues or white colleagues about these different topics.
We need people and we need community so much more now than ever, because of the world has been so divisive and everyone has been in isolation, only to themselves or to their families, that the community and APAHE is so much needed right now, where we get an opportunity to connect, to show an appreciation and concern for each other, and to really support and uplift each other for all the work that we do to advocate for our community.
I have definitely surprised myself with, I think, the ability to rally people. I've always put in the effort and been happy with the things that I've been able to accomplish. And I knew I had to dig down for something more. I think understanding the challenges that we have faced and just it being right in front of us and that something had to be done. And so this is past couple of years, I think, has been really a time to step up and doing it in community and just seeing how people would respond to that. I think people have responded differently also, and that's amazing.
I hit a moment where I didn't know what my purpose was anymore, right? I think 2 years ago, around this time, I think that's when the pandemic actually happened, right? And during this time 2 years ago, I was finishing my, I think I was like in my second to last year of my coursework. I was like, oh my God, I'm about to get this doctorate. It's like, I'm in this mid-level management where I'm not technically mid-level, but I am now, right? Because I'm no longer a new professional. And the work that I do, like, I loved it, don't get me wrong. But at the same time, I was just like, is this the path that I want to continue on, right? And I think after talking to like a lot of my friends who are in the field and whatnot, they gave me a lot of sound advice. However, every time I talked to someone part of the APAHE community, I think they made me dig a little deeper, more so in terms of like, this isn't just student affairs. This isn't just higher education, right? If this is your calling and if this is what you're meant to do, this is what you're meant to do, right? Ultimately, it's not about the systems and structures. It's about what you want to do.
As much as I grow into my profession, I'm still a big kid at heart. I've learned that I've been much more deliberate about my energy and how I show up for others. It's made me more cognizant of my own children and showing up better for my family because they're navigating all this stuff too. And they may not have the coping mechanisms that I've developed over the years. And so whether it's my students at the university I work at, my staff that I try to support in student affairs, or my own family, the biggest lesson for me is I actually have a choice in managing my own energy and being deliberate about how I show up for others?
The past 2 years, I think, dealing with the pandemic have been very, very challenging and difficult because it's essentially changed higher education, the way that we deliver instruction and student services. All of that has shifted. It's also caused a lot of disconnection, across different communities. In addition to just the harm, a lot of loss has happened, at least in my own personal life. There's been incredible, devastating losses. What I've learned about myself is that while I strive to do the best that I can in the professional worlds that we are in, I keep that going, but I've definitely learned how to pause and slow down to take care of my mental wealth. As one of our colleagues calls it, mental wealth is just, it's physical, it's our mental well-being, and that is very important.
What we all learned is there are things that we can control and there are things that we cannot control. And so I think it's incumbent upon me to focus on those things where I can make an impact and influence and leave some kind of legacy. And that is really supporting that voice for our AAPI community, to promote that action that's necessary to serve and protect our community. And more importantly, is to build the coalitions to ensure that there's non-discrimination for all of us here, right?
I've learned that no matter where you are in your career, there's always going to be bumps in the road. And what I love about APAHE is you always can come home and be engaged and be supported by your fellow colleagues. And it's just really a beautiful experience. And I'll always have great memories of being able to, whether I'm hurt, whether I'm doing well, to connect with my colleagues through this organization that we call APAHE.